Long ago, in a village where red earth stretched under tall trees and the wind carried the whispers of ancestors, life moved slowly but with purpose. Every day was a rhythm of work, laughter, prayers, and stories. The village had no roads, only paths worn by generations of feet, and no clocks, only the rising and setting sun. In this village lived Obinna, a hard-working farmer, and his only daughter, Amara. Amara's story began with loss. Her mother died the night she was born, leaving a tiny baby in her father's arms and a home suddenly silent. The women of the village whispered with sorrow, wondering how life could arrive and leave at the same time. Some said the child would carry a curse, others believed she was destined for greatness. Obinna chose hope. He held Amara close and whispered promises into her tiny ear. "You will be strong. You will carry joy where sorrow lives. You will not be broken." From that night on, father and daughter became inseparable. Her childhood was filled with work and wonder. She followed her father to the fields each morning, carrying little calabashes of water, helping him plant yams, cassava, and corn. She sang songs she made up, filling the air with laughter that chased away fatigue. Obinna smiled often at her antics, telling her, "Your voice is sweeter than the flute. The earth will remember your joy." Yet, even in a life filled with love, anger and impatience can creep in unnoticed. One day, a memory she would later forget began to take root. She was 12, tired from work, and frustrated when a mother hen and her chicks scattered the carefully planted yams. In a moment of childish anger, she buried the hen and her chicks in the soil, laughing at the ease with which she could control life. She did not understand then that the earth remembers everything. As Amara grew, her beauty and strength became known throughout the village. She worked like a grown woman by the age of 10, yet she remained kind, gentle, and fair. Suitors came from near and far, bringing gifts of palm wine, yams, and kola nuts. The elders whispered blessings, predicting a prosperous marriage. But Amara waited. She could not yet give her heart freely, and so she refused them all. Years later, fate arrived in the form of Kunal, a man from the city, tall, confident, and calm. He came to the village for business, but when he saw Amara, something in him paused. She was unlike any woman he had ever met, strong, natural, and compassionate. He watched as she gave food freely to an old woman who could not pay, and in that moment, he knew he had found something rare. Kunal approached her slowly, respecting her boundaries. He helped in the fields, carried baskets, and laughed with Obinna. Amara, cautious but intrigued, allowed herself to open little by little. Their bond grew slowly, quietly, like roots taking hold under the earth. Eventually, they married, and the village celebrated. Drums echoed, fires burned bright, and elders blessed the union. Obinna watched, both proud and afraid, knowing the city would challenge the girl he had raised. At first, the city life seemed like a dream. Their house was large, their nights warm and safe, their days filled with comfort. But over time, a silence began to grow. Months passed. Years passed. And still, the house remained empty of children. Doctors examined them. Prayers were prayed. Hope rose and fell like waves. Kunal remained steadfast, holding Amara's hand and telling her she was enough. But the world around them grew cruel. Relatives whispered behind her back, neighbors pointed, and society judged her without mercy. At night, Amara's dreams became a reflection of her growing fear. She stood on red soil, warm beneath her feet. She heard soft scratching, as if life itself called to her from beneath the ground. Each night, the sound grew louder, the soil darker, and the weight on her chest heavier. She would wake gasping, tears wetting her pillow, heart pounding in the quiet house. Eventually, her father sent word, "Come home. The land wants to speak." The journey back to the village was long and heavy. The trees blurred past the bus window, rivers mirrored the sky, and memories pressed into her chest. Obinna was waiting at the roadside. His beard had grown grayer, his hands rougher, but his eyes held the same warmth. He embraced her tightly, and for the first time in years, Amara felt the pull of safety she had longed for. That night, they sat outside beneath the moon. Crickets sang. Fireflies drifted like floating stars. Obinna spoke softly, "Tomorrow, we will see Nwoi. His eyes may be old, but his spirit sees what others cannot." Nwoi lived deep within the forest, where the smell of herbs lingered and time moved differently. When Amara stood before him, he did not ask her name. He looked past her skin, past her clothes, past her fear. He looked into her soul. And then he spoke. "You buried life with anger," he said. "And now life refuses to rise for you." The words hit her harder than any curse, harder than any whisper, harder than the judgment she had faced in the city. Slowly, painfully, she remembered. The mother hen, the chicks, the soil she had disturbed with childish rage. She had laughed at their helplessness. And yet, the earth had never forgotten. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I was a child," she whispered. "I did not know." "The earth does not forget," Nwoi said softly. "But it can forgive." He told her what she must do. She must honor the life she had disrespected. She must return to the same soil, not with excuses, not with pride, but with humility and sincerity. Only then would the curse lift. The next day, the village gathered. Some were curious, some skeptical, some afraid. Amara wore white and stepped barefoot onto the red soil. She placed her hands gently on the ground, preparing the ritual. Bowls of food were set before the hen and chicks, now alive in a symbolic gesture, and drums began to beat slowly. She sang softly, calling for forgiveness, returning dignity where she had once buried life with anger. Chioma, her cousin, danced beside her, laughing and shaking her waist exaggeratedly to lighten the tension. The villagers watched, some laughing, some moved to tears, some silent in awe. Amara dug gently, laid the hen and chicks into the soil with care, covered them with the earth, and finished her song. Something left her chest that night. A weight she had carried for years slipped away, leaving her breathless and free. She slept deeply, without dreams, for the first time in years. Weeks later, life returned to her body. Strength, appetite, hope, all stirred anew. When the doctor confirmed her pregnancy, Amara wept tears that tasted like relief and gratitude. Years passed. The house that had once been quiet now rang with laughter and life. Back in the village, elders told her story around fires, a story of patience, humility, respect, and the earth that never forgets. They said, "Do not plant anger. Do not bury life carelessly. Every action leaves a footprint. Every emotion carries weight. And the earth remembers all." Amara returned to the city, changed forever, not just blessed, but wiser. She and Kunal raised their children with love, teaching them the same lessons she had learned: patience, respect, humility, and reverence for life.